Are we ready to start? Yes? Yes? Good. You back there, you ready to start? Good. So today, my friends, we are going over two new concepts. The two concepts that we're going over today are ratios and proportions. Does anybody know what a ratio is? Rounding a group of numbers? Okay. Close, but no cigar. Ratio, my friends. A ratio compares two numbers. And what that means is you could write a ratio using the word two, or using using a colon, or writing it as a fraction. So this is what I mean. We're going to do our very first example right here. So try to focus. Here's our very first word problem in regards to writing out a ratio. A softball pitcher strikes out 4 batters for every 1 batter that she walks. What is the ratio of strikeouts to walks? So, we want to write out a ratio. What type of ratio? It all depends on the question. What is the ratio of strikeouts to walks? That's key here. Strikeouts to walks. All right? We want to write our ratio of strikeouts to walks. Well, tell me, how many strikeouts does the pitcher do? That's when you come back to the word problem and you go find it. A softball pitcher strikes out 4 batters. So the strikeouts is 4. What is the ratio of strikeouts to walks? So they strike out 4 batters, and how many do they walk?
For every 1 batter that she walks. It doesn't say.
For every 1 batter. 1 batter, right? So the ratio here is 4 to 1. For every 4 that she strikes out, 1 batter walks. 4 to 1. This is how you write a ratio right there. Or, like I said before, like this, we were using this one. You could write it out as a fraction, 4 to 1. Or you could write it as, let me write it down here, 4 to 1. Doesn't matter. What we're doing is writing out our ratio of strikeouts to walks. Hi. So, this is how we write a ratio. And it all depends on the question, all right? If the question were to say, what is the ratio of walks to strikeouts? Let's say they were to flip that. The walks were to come first and the strikeout second. Walks to strikeouts. You know what your ratio is? It'll be the other way around. It'll be 1 to 4 or 1 to 4. That's ratios. One more example. Here's another example of a ratio problem. Remember, a ratio compares two numbers. So, Frank manages a small drugstore. During a 2-hour period, he counts 25 cash sales and 15 credit card sales. What is the ratio of credit card to cash sales? Remember, the key with ratio problems is to always look at the final question. What are they asking for? What is the ratio of credit card to cash sales?
So is it asking for the missing number?
No, it's asking for the ratio. It's asking for the ratio to be written out. What is the credit card to cash sales? How should that be written out?
15 to 25.
Well, ask yourself, what is the credit card? Well, it says it right there. 15 credit card sales, right? 15 credit card sales. To cash sales. Where's my cash sales at? Right there. 25 cash sales, right? So it goes right there, 25. Or 15 over 25. Doesn't matter. Both of these ways are the way you write out a ratio. Both of them are correct. Do you guys see that? You're writing out ratios. But wait, there's more. What did we do last week and the week before? We've been dealing with a lot of fractions, right? You guys think we're done with fractions? Of course not. Everything we learn could be used to help us out. So the thing with ratios is math likes ratio problems to be in simplest terms, which means you must always spot whether your fraction could be simplified or not. 15 over 25 or 15 colon 25, it doesn't matter. Could this be simplified? Could 15 over 25 be simplified? Tell me. Use your fraction skills that we've developed and let's see whether 15 over 25 could be simplified. Could it?
Could it be simplified?
Yes.
5 goes into the evenly.
Good. So you spotted the number 5, right? Remember, if you don't remember how to simplify fractions, you could have taken the long route of dividing by 2, then divided by 3, right? If 2 didn't work, obviously. But we are okay, so we left off on simplifying our fraction, 15 over 25, right? You said you wanted to divide by 5. That's because you saw the 5 and you know 5 always goes into 5. So what's 15 divided by 5?
3.
What's 25 divided by 5?
5.
Could you go any simpler than that?
Yeah.
No, you cannot, which means this is my final answer. So to recap, you're going to get word problems, all right? It's going to be Frank manages a small drugstore during a 2-hour period. He counts 25 cash sales and 15 credit card sales. What is the ratio of credit card to cash sales? Again, it all matters on this last bit. You have to put the credit card sales first and then the cash sales. If you were to do it backwards, if you were to have done 25 over 15. I then simplified it. It would have been 5 over 3. And guess what? This is incorrect. That's not the correct ratio. The ratio must match what the question is asking. If it asks credit card to cash sales, that's how the order should be. Credit card to cash sales. Does all of that make sense? Does it? Good. Now comes another one. Let's see if I have this one or not. Nope. Okay. I finally have it in. All right. One last example for ratios. A football team won 12 games and lost 8. There were no tied games. What is the ratio of games won to games played? Tell me. What's the question asking? Always go to the question.
What is the ratio of games won to games played?
Games won to games played. That's what they want to know. What is the ratio of games won to games played? So that's when you use the data that was given before in the word problems to answer that. What is the ratio of games won to games played? Okay, so how about we go find it? How many games have we won? I hear 12. Does everyone else think that? Yeah? Good, because it says it right there. A football team won 12 games, right? 12 to games played. How many games were played?
20.
Good. So a lot of students in this situation would just put an 8. Because that was the number that was given, right? The other number that was given. No. Ratios are not just so simple like that. Sometimes you have to find the number with the numbers that are given. For instance, they gave you the games won and they also gave you the games lost. They're not asking for the games won to games lost. So it doesn't make sense to put the 8 down there. What we want to do is do an extra operation. We want to add our games won and our games lost to get the total games. The total amount of games played. Right? Right? So we add it and we ended up getting 20. 20 is my games played. And just like that, you found your ratio, 12 over 20. But what must you always do once you have your final ratio? Check whether it could be simplified, all right? Can 12 over 20 be simplified? If you're still struggling with simplifying, just go straight to the famous 2. And if you can't divide both by 2, move up to 3, then 4, up until you get to the lowest number within the fraction, which is 12. So how about we divide by our 2? Let me change that. 2. What's 12 divided by 2? What's 20 divided by 2? Could 6 over 10 be simplified? What could we divide them both by?
2.
Good. You see how famous that divide by 2 trick is? It helps out so many students with simplifying fractions. What's 6 divided by 2? What's 10 divided by 2? Guess what? My final ratio is 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Does that make sense? Do not let these type of problems be the ones that trick you guys. Because I promise you, just because they throw numbers there, the 12 and the 8, don't just immediately think those are the two numbers that you're going to use. No. Sometimes you're going to have to find the difference, find the sum, find the product, all that we've learned. You might have to do an extra step before you write your final ratio, and then you simplify. It always comes down to the one thing and one thing only. The final question. What is the whatever to whatever? In this case, what is the games won to games played? This one right there is key. 2. That's what's key. So as I was saying before we got rudely interrupted, you are going to have to sometimes do the extra step of doing an operation to find whatever it is they're asking for, all right? And then, so just keep track of that. Always keep track of your final question. And then, again, always make sure to simplify your problems, your ratio. Does all this make sense? Any questions on ratios? It's very simplistic, very straightforward.
What about questions in general?
I could answer anything.
I can't find your YouTube.
Really? Neo Solano, no space, by the way, Neo Solano, and then space, mathematics. It has a big old face of mine as a thumbnail. You can't miss it. Neo Solano, no space, Neo Solano, mathematics. Alrighty, are we ready to do our practice problems?
Don't hang that up, Arnold.